Good morning and welcome to ATN Sports Personality Show. My name is Kingsley Mado, and I'm very happy to be here this morning to bring you up to speed with another exciting sports personality on today's edition of the show. It promises to be an exciting one. And today, of course, we shall be taking a look at the life of former Nigerian track and field athletes and footballers who are talking about Chioma Ajunwa. She's a sports personality on today edition of the show. A whole lot, of course, to talk about Chioma Ajunwa. Don't forget, she was former Nigerian track and field athlete and as well as a footballer as well. So we have a whole lot to take a look at, when it has to do with the life, the track and field career of Chioma Ajunwa and her football career as well. So we'll take a short break now, and when we come back from this break, of course, we'll unravel all that you need to know about Chioma Ajunwa, former Nigerian track and field athlete and a football player. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, Steve's 18 Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network. Joining me on today's edition of the show is a man you know so well on this program. His name is Kingsley Woke. Good morning to you, Woke, and welcome to Sports Personality Show.
Yeah, good morning, Kingsley.
All right, let's quickly take a look at the life of Chioma Ajunwa. We told you she's a former Nigerian track and field athlete and a footballer as well. Now, Chioma Ajunwa Opera was born on the 25th of December 1970. Also known as Chioma Ajunwa, is a Nigerian former track and field athlete and football player, notable for becoming the first Nigerian to win gold at the 1996 Summer Olympic in Atlanta and the first black African woman to win an Olympic gold medal in the event as well. let's take a look at, her early life. Um, Born into what she described as a very poor home, Zumbisi in Imo State, Ajua was the last of nine children with six brothers and two sisters. Her father died while she was still young, leaving his wife to solely support a large family. At the age of 18, Ajua, who had been a keen athletics participant during her school years, gained admission into university but was unable to register due to her mother's inability to pay the fees. She opted to train as an automobile mechanic instead, but abandoned the idea following her mother's disapproval. All right, okay, we'll just take a look at her early life, talking about Choma and Juma. What do you make of, her early beginning?
Yes, I think it was not really easy for her, coming from a large family and losing your father when you are very young. So it makes everything more difficult if maybe your family doesn't, maybe there's nothing going for them before then, maybe no business or no money and all that. We see in African homes, even in Nigerian homes, we see maybe the mother struggle to train the children that was there before the man died, and that was one of the issues she had. She wanted to do more for herself. In fact, she wanted to go to the university at that early stage. She had big ambitions for herself, but due to no funds and all that, it wasn't really easy for her. But she was somebody that wanted to succeed. She was willing to do anything. Like you said, he wanted to be a mechanic. She was trying everything to make sure she succeeds in life, and that is the kind of mentality an African have, the mentality to succeed in anything. So I think she really had a very tough childhood, and for a lady, being that strong and doing all those kind of things, it shows that she really wanted to succeed, and she also wanted to compete. She didn't want maybe in future somebody giving her, or she wanted to fend for herself, and you could see all that she did to survive.
Interesting one, talking about Choma Ajua. Of course, her beginning wasn't that very rosy. And what do you make of from what we've seen already, why she was young, she, of course, opted to go into also mechanic. Taking a look at the way she's been able to put herself, what she has actually desired, for ever since, she was young, actually look masculine. Because when you talk about auto mechanic, is something masculine.
It's masculine, yeah.
It's something that now so many persons want to approve for a male.
A male child, or yes.
And after that, she went into athletics and being a footballer. Even till today, she's a police, officer as well. What do you make of her choice of career so far?
See, like when you look at, even before then, maybe it's now that people are trying to recognize maybe a female trying to go into sports, or that before, when in the African home, I'm just trying to be practical here. In an African home, when you see maybe your female child try maybe portraying all the male tendencies, sometimes it's always very, very bad. I mean, in fact, they say behave like a female. A female should be a female. In fact, a female should be in the kitchen. Back then, that is the notion. A female should, in fact, when you are mature, you should prepare for homemaking. Get married, bear children, and marry, and take care of your husband. And
has choice.
Thank you very much. So, when you see somebody, when you see someone during those period engaging in one sporting activity or the other, it looks strange there. It looks strange. In fact, you need the support of somebody. Sometimes your parents might not really support you. You need somebody to back you up, somebody that even beg your parents to allow you to do what you want to do. So that was the issue we had back then. In fact, when you're a female child and you want to go into sports, especially all those kind of extreme sports, they tend to discourage you. They tend to tell you your place is in the house, homemaking, all those kind of stuff. So for her to engage in other things, that means maybe the brothers, I don't know whether she had elder brothers, maybe she liked following them, maybe to go play football and maybe all that, because football is the first thing as a maybe a male or a female you come across, because football is being played in the streets, in your backyard. Even inside your living room, if you have a very large space, you can play football there. If there is space to, so you might even break your television and all that. So she had access to all those things. So first she wanted to be a footballer. She wanted to be a footballer, and along the line, she was doing well in athletics, and athletics then wasn't really that big. So if you are good, you'll be selected. So I think that was one of the issues she had. I know we'll come back to that. That was why she wanted to be a footballer, but she knew she was good. In fact, she knew she was very good, but based on the fact that she was serving two masters at a time, it became a problem for her, so she had to choose one. But for me, being a female and or being a woman and engaging in sports back then was something that was abnormal, yes, but that's the word. We tend to categorize the women in a certain way and the men in a certain way. So for me, she was very strong. She has a strong mentality for her to be able to overcome all those things and still become an athlete.
What do you make of, still talking about her choice of her career? We understand that, her father died, when she was still very young. And then, but do you think that might have been the reason why she tend to choose, this part, of career, trying to go into auto mechanic, being an athlete, and as well being a footballer, presently a police officer? Do you think coming from a family that is not really that well-to-do, as at that time, really made her probably to see life a bit difficult?
Yes, I think if the father was alive during those early stages, even though they were poor, we have seen poor homes try as much as possible to make sure their children goes to school, especially if you are very intelligent. That was the criteria. If you are very intelligent, they tend to, back then, not now that even if you don't have the brain, they will still send you to school. Go and get the certificate. Back then was, if you are very intelligent, you'll be the one to go to school. Maybe if you have this knowledge for, maybe you want to trade, you want to be a businessman, they send you to where you will learn how to trade. That was how it was done back then. So I think she had the brains. I think for her to even pass, I don't know what they call it then, whether it was JAMB or any other thing, to go into the university, to get admission to the university, that means she was knowledgeable, she had the brains, she was very intelligent, but because of no funds, you know how the university system is, without no money or maybe you're not on scholarship, it's always very hard to train yourself, especially when you don't have somebody backing you. So I think the poor background really affected her. In fact, it made her to choose other things. Maybe when she was at home, she saw people playing football. Maybe then in primary or secondary school, she was always there, and maybe all these competitions, because back then, all these school sports competitions, we are very active, inter-house sports and all that. And she was very good in all those areas, 100 meters, 200 meters. When you are good, you are good. So I think she had to channel her energy to all those areas. And back then, talent hunting and others was very, very, very much alive, because we didn't really have so much people engaged themselves in athletics back then. Football was there already. So I think she had to channel her energy to other stuff. I think if the father was alive, the father would have done almost everything possible to make sure she went to school, because she was very intelligent. So she just has to choose another path, and that's what happens in Africa. When it's not working here, you have to choose another path.
Of course, an impressive one, about Chioma Ajua. She didn't actually come from a very, very rich family, but she was able, of course, to surpass the hurdles, on her way to actually put something very huge, in front of her. Just like we mentioned, she actually went down, of course, to take up a career that so many, of course, would not really want to approve, for their female child, today. Because take a look at Nigerian today. A whole lot of Nigerian parents, of course, want their children to go to school, especially the female, child. And from what we saw from Dr. Choma Ajunwa, I think the reverse was the case because despite the fact that, she wasn't given that necessary support, her family was not that buoyant, but she decided to go the other way around, not minding the consequences, not minding, of course, what will be on her way. And today, she's doing very, very well for herself. And she also did a lot, for the country, talking about Nigeria. And that's why we're taking a look at her today on the show. But, okay, do you think that Nigerian parents, is there anything, Nigerian parents have learned from what has been happening, especially to female athletes? The other day we were talking about Toby Amusan, what she did at the World Athletics Championship, last year, not the present one that just got concluded. We have the likes of Issy Bromi. We have the likes of Blessing Dudu. We have a Blessing Okagbari, though she has been banned, and this is Choma Ajunwa, one lady that have done a whole lot when it comes to sports, not sports, athletics, and football as well. Do you think Nigerian parents, they've really learned from what has happened so far when it comes to seeing, ladies like this, like Choma Ajunwa and the rest, putting up impressive feat for the country?
Well,
because I remember last time.
When you say,
I remember last time when Toby Amusan put up the record at the World Athletics Championship. A whole lot of media houses, people were saying, "Oh, it's then time for you to start training your child, especially your female child, in sport, And as I'm asking, do you think Nigerian parents that have learned from what has happened so far with these ladies in sports?
They have learned. I think.
Are they really encouraging their child now to go into sports?
They are not really encouraging. I will not say they are encouraging. What they do is, maybe when they see you have the love for it, they will encourage you, especially the female. Due to the money involved in sports now, they are encouraging the male, maybe their male children more than the women or the female. You know why? Women are not actually built that way. Women are not built that strong. Women are very fragile. It's in rare cases that you see a woman trying to portray like she's very strong and all that. So there are not many. There are not many. Maybe in a family you might not even see anybody having that love.
A woman might not have that masculine nature. Well, but from what we've seen all of this, you're talking about Choma Ajunwa today. I think when they gave birth to her, she didn't have that masculine nature. She has to build herself. She has to train herself up to this level, where we're seeing now today. There's a certain lady in Kenya, Faith Kipyegon. She competes in the 1,500 meters. That's a very huge one, of course, for a lady to do. But she has been able to put up a very impressive performance in that event, and she's been able to win so many, accolades for herself and putting up impressive records so far. So for me, I think it is not necessarily that a child must portray that masculine nature before you encourage the child to go into sports.
Because
especially the female child.
I know how it happens in Nigerian homes. I see lots of them. They don't even encourage the ladies. They tend to encourage the men more. They believe that the female or the female child is very special. Or all the female child needs to do is maybe go to school, get a certificate, then look for a husband. When it's time and marry, bear children for them, and all that. That is always the case. When you see them encouraging, maybe now they know that there's money in sports now. There's money is in, especially football and all this other. Now, maybe when they see, maybe that the child has love, maybe for athletics, she's good at running, maybe she's good at football, maybe they will try to warn her, but if they see that if the warning is not taking them anywhere, they tend to leave her. Maybe if your parents is buoyant, they tend to encourage you, but not in all cases. It's always very easy if you're a male child in an African home. It's always very easy if you're a male child. They might give you the right support because they know, they see Messi, they see Ronaldo, Some of them don't even watch. See, some of them don't even watch female football. True. They don't watch women football. During the last World Cup,
just so the World Cup just got.
We are the ones watching the World Cup. The women don't even know what is happening. So to show you that they don't really encourage the women. Yeah, they don't encourage the female child. It's in rare cases, like I said. So they tend to encourage the men more, or the male child more, to go into sports than the female, because they know that the female, they are a special breed, like I said. They are very fragile, except some of them that they tend to show their muscle and all that. So they tend to encourage the male than the female. So that's not their specialty. They will tell you, we are not used to all those things. It's gossip and other things.
It is not their specialty, but from what we've seen so far, in the world today.
I think that more women are going into more women. Yes, like I said, women are going. The awareness is here now. Even if you can be able to start it when you are very small, start competing. I think you will develop those muscles and develop that strength. Because to compete, you must be physically fit. You must be very, very strong to compete in all those activities and all those sports. So I think the awareness is maybe more than in the last 10 years, more than in the last 20 years, more than in the last 30 years. The awareness is now, and we are seeing people now engaging more. We have seen more people now engaging in sports. And for me, it's good. It's good. I think in years to come, it will still improve. The percentage will keep improving. And for me, Choma Ajonwa, they have set the pace for other people. I think when people read about what she did, the first African to win a gold medal and all that, I think that's just a motivation for you. You don't need another motivation elsewhere. That's just the motivation for you to see and try to be the next Chioma Ajonwa. I know after her, a lot of people have tried to be Chioma Ajonwa with the life of Mary Onyale. Lots of them have tried to be Chioma Ajonwa. And Osebrume, they are doing it now. Tobi Amosu, we have seen Blessing Akabare do so many things. And lots of them have tried to emulate what she did in Atlanta 1996. So for me, like I said, they tend to favor, in fact, African parents tend to allow their male children to go into sports than the female.
All right, but for me, I think it's 10 time, that stereotype really need to change. African parents really, especially Nigerian parents, really have to encourage.
Is it only Nigerian parents?
Yes. For me, I think other parts of Africa, they're trying.
Okay.
If you ask me. You take a look at the Ethiopians, the Kenyans, especially when it comes to athletics. You see more of their female child or ladies, going into these, marathon events and all
those long distance races.
But you hardly see a Nigerian lady in a marathon event, and all of that.
Our weather and our climate, our region doesn't really favor that.
So we can breed that. We can encourage that, in the country. Just like you mentioned, the likes of Chioma Ajonwa, Blessing Okagbere, Mary Onyale, Tobi Amusan, they are setting the pace already. And this should, actually, tell other parents that, see, that your girl child, you can actually breed her to go into this direction. Now, you don't necessarily need to force the child, but look at it.
The child must have that love. Yes. The love must be there. The zeal, must be there before. It's not like forcing her. You must see the seriousness in her that she wants to, before you can be able to encourage her.
Sometimes most of the parents overlook these things and say, please go to school.
Go to school and learn and go and you're married and have kids.
I think the female athletes we have in the country that are actually doing something great. Tobi Amusan, last time, she put up a very impressive record at the World Athletics Championship, and putting up that record, she went in with a very huge amount of money. And winning that gold medal alone, I think she went in with about $70,000. And now she came back. She started getting endorsement deals, getting much accolade from the country and all of that. And take a look at the likes of Asisio Shola. She's just been nominated.
Yes, for
the nominees as well. And don't forget, she has a foundation. She has an academy in terms of breeding, the young generation as well. So we could see that, the girl child They are only doing something great. And this is, a call for parents, especially down here in Nigeria, to see how they can actually encourage, their children to go into sport, especially from what we've seen from the likes of Choma Joe, because it is not an easy feat for a lady to participate in athletics and as well as being a footballer, as well. So it is something very, very incredible. And that's why we're actually putting up this morning, that if you have a girl child, look into that child, and see if that child, of course, will want to go into a sport. This will be the only way, of course, we can start getting, athletes, people that will set the pace for the generations, to come. But let's take a look at, Choma Joa as well. What she did, during her football career. In her football career, now as a professional sportswoman, Joa originally played football for the Nigerian women team and was a member of the Falcons during the Women's World Cup in 1991. But as she was constantly benched, her skill was really unused. Of her short-lived football career, Joa has stated, Joa actually put up a verse, of course, a very, very impressive one down there in her football career. But, Woke, what do you make of, her football career? And she actually played, but she came up to complain that, she was not frequently used, by the managers at then.
Yes, I don't know, maybe whether she had issues with the managers. I don't know whether she had issues because before then, she was already making her mark in Nigeria and also outside Nigeria. In fact, before then, she had gone for an event in 1989. She has gone for an athletic event in 1989. In fact, she was combining both athletics and football. So it was maybe the coaches, maybe...
Well, what really happened? Because according to her, she said the coach knew that she was the best player in the team.
That's what I'm saying.
But he decided to keep her on the bench.
Because I don't see the reason why you will be...
And that's why she left the team.
Exactly. That's why she was pursuing two things. I will give you an instance. There is a Spanish... the player that won the best, the young player at the last World Cup, Guelio, I don't forget, Sima or something. The young girl, she was an athlete also, and also a footballer. She played for Barcelona. She played for Barcelona ladies in Spain. She's also an athlete and also a footballer. So she has to choose one. She had to choose. She has competed for Spain in athletics. I've seen her, see pictures, but she had to choose one. She has to choose between athletics and football, and she has to choose football. Now she played for Barcelona, and she won the best young player at the last World Cup. So I know she was good in the two, but you had to choose one. You can't compete in the two. The balance will not be there because maybe when you are in camp, maybe when there's an athletic event, maybe a trial and all that. I think maybe that was one of the things that discouraged the coaches. But they just have to put her in the squad because
if
of
she
her.
Was just like she mentioned, if she was actually the best, how can you bench your best player?
She was the best, but she was not always consistent. She was not always there with the team. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's what I think. She was not always there with the team. She was always here or there. So maybe the coaches felt that her mind was not there 100%. So it's always the problem. The coach wants that full concentration. Maybe that was the reason, because when they were benching you, you know that, like she said that she was the best player in the team. So why benching her?
That's the question.
So I know if she's having a problem with the coaches, I don't think maybe the coaches would have invited her for the competition.
Tournament.
Maybe there was something that we don't really know. Something she didn't really tell us. But she was combining the two. I think that is just the problem. She was serving two masters. And when you serve two masters at a time, it's always a problem. So I think she made the right decision choosing one. I think she's been recognized. I think if she had played football, maybe she would have won maybe the African best player. Then women football was just coming up then. It was not really big in Africa. In fact, then I don't think more than 5 teams even had a national team, had a very stable national team then in Africa. Female football or women football wasn't really that big in Africa. So I think she made the right choice choosing athletics. I think she will be happy today that she made that right move. So that's just it. I think that was the issue he had in football. If she had also chosen football, she would have also maybe done so many good things. Maybe she would have even gone abroad to play, gone to the US, and maybe gone to all this to play. Maybe she would have even won maybe so many awards, but she had to choose one. And for me, it's good like that. Today, in the world, in the Olympics, if you're talking about people that have won gold medals, she will be remembered. In long jump, she will be remembered. So
we'll definitely get to that track and field, of course, career. But that was how it pans out, of course, for Choma and Juma. Talking about football career, very fantastic player. She was an attacker during her time, but she had an issue with her coach, and the coach did not really use her, and she got frustrated and left the national football team. But we'll take a look at our track and field career. That will be when we come back from this short break. Please stay with us.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. Honorable, human trafficking. Honorable,
they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds. I am in the
lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back to the Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, we're bringing you another impressive, fantastic sports personality to see this morning. It's all about Choma Ajua, former Nigerian track and field athlete and a footballer as well. Let's take a look at our track and field career, because we've taken a look at our football career. Wasn't that very, very impressive because of the issues she had with her coach, and she has to leave. Now, Ajua performed as a track and field athlete and specialized in the 100 meters, 200 meters, and long jump. She competed at the 1990 Commonwealth Games, winning a bronze medal in the 4x100 meters relay, and competed at the African Championship in 1989 and the All-African Games in 1991, where she won gold medals in the long jump. And Ajua was banned from the sport for 4 years after failing a drug test in 1992 despite maintaining her innocence. Now, following the completion of her suspension, Ajua went on to become the first West African woman, as well as the first Nigerian to win an Olympic gold medal in a track and field event when she emerged victorious in the women's long jump event at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta with a jump length of 7.12 meters on her first attempt during the final. And in 2003, she stated in an interview with the Vanguard, she said, "I told her so much for this country, but then I was dumped. And that could be the only individual gold medal winner for Nigeria in over half a century of participation in the Olympic. And I could still be treated like a such." Of course, there was a point, of course, she wasn't given that attention. She needed that good treatment, of course, she needed. But before we take a look at that, okay, what do you make of her track and field career?
Career was very, very impressive. I think she did very well in that area.
Especially long jump.
Long jump, yes. But she did also the 100 meters and 200, but yeah. I think the long jump was the one that brought her that recognition at the Olympics in 1996. For me, she tried. She tried to make her mark, and she competed very well, both at the Commonwealth Games, the African Games, and also the Olympic Games. And for me, good one for her. Like, before then, like, she was already a professional. Like, she was well known already. When you win the Commonwealth Games in 1990, I think she was a sportsman that was already known around maybe, yes, in the world, if I miss Africa and the world. So for me, she had it going for her at that level then. And for me, she did very well. I think she had to choose, and athletics was the one that was favoring her.
Interesting one. And talking about, the suspension she had, she was suspended for 4 years due to failing a drug test, but she tried to prove her innocence as well.
Yeah, she was banned for 4 years, and between 1992 to 1996, and she made it in time for the Olympics, and I think that gave her motivation, and she did well at the Olympics in Atlanta. So for me, the drug ban is something that athletes, it will always happen. Nigerian athletes are always known to enter into those kind of troubles. I don't know, maybe wrong advisors, maybe taking things that you know that is very bad and you still insist and all those kind of things. Maybe you take something, you don't know that it will have an effect and all that. So I think it's a thing that has been there for a very long time. So we have seen lots of Blessing Akabari being accused, being banned.
Even the president, Toby Amusan.
Almost. She was almost, I heard the case is still on. So it's something that has been happening. And for me, she tried, after coming back 4 years after, I think she was still training and trying to get fit and all that. And she was able to compete. For me, that was very fantastic.
Very fantastic. And Friday, 30th of April 2010, Ajua delivered a paper on war against the use of illicit drugs in sports as an interactive session organized by Athletic Federation of Nigeria. And the second half of 2010, Ajua stepped up her anti-doping activities by starting an integrated campaign, Athlete Tag, Compete Fair and Clean. This personally financed initiative involved communicating messages directly to athletes and coaches at athletics events. Awareness and red flag workshop and seminars have been organized with Athletic Federation of Nigeria. Banners are placed at athletic events and informative publication, as well as T-shirts with anti-doping messages are given to athletes and coaches as well. So, after everything, she actually came up with the fact that, it's she actually put up a campaign against, taking drugs as it is. What do you make of this approach, from her?
Yes, I think it was good. Telling the upcoming athletes that engaging in drugs is not really good. It might spoil or even dampen your career in athletics, and it was very, very good for her to campaign for people not to use additional substance. Yes, let me call it added substance to perform in athletics. So for me, it was very good. For someone that I have been there before, she had been banned before for all those kind of things. So it was a very good thing that she had to champion that event to make sure she delivered. That was a speech to make sure she tells the next generation that to use drugs in sports is not really very good.
And she equally served the country well in the National Police Force. Choma Ajua, police rank, is Assistant Commissioner of Police. The talented athlete was decorated as an Assistant Commissioner of Police by the Police Service Commission during an event that took place at the Police College in Ikeja. Before her nomination, she had been serving as a Chief Superintendent of Police. Let's also take a look at her achievements and medal record award as well. She won a silver medal at the long jump at the 1997 World Indoor Championship in Paris. She won a gold medal in long jump at the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. She won a gold medal at the long jump at the All African Games in 1991. She won a bronze medal at the 4x100 meters relay at the 1990 Commonwealth Games in Auckland. She won a gold medal in long jump at the African Championship in 1989. Now, the first African woman, as well as the first Nigerian to win an Olympic gold medal in track and field events. That's a very, very impressive record, for Choma Ajua. What do you make of, the accolades and the award, of course, and the height, of course, she was able to put up, in athletics for herself?
Yeah, I think it was good. Looking at all those records, especially winning an Olympic gold was the highest of it all. I think
the first African woman.
Yes, that's still giving her the recognition till today. Even in schools, she's being used as a reference point to upcoming generations. It's being used in current affairs and so many other things. So Choma Juma, the first woman to win an Olympic medal for Nigeria and all that. So that shows the level of what she has achieved for herself and also for the country. So she has done very well. She has paid her dues in athletics. Not just winning the Olympics, she also won medals at the Commonwealth Games, another very notable event for nations under the Commonwealth region, colonized by England or Great Britain, anyhow you. So, for me, that is a very good recognition. Looking at her CV, I think those medals and those laurels won, I think is good. It's good. It's good. And for me, I know some people are trying to see whether they can surpass and all that and another, but I know some people have gone on to win gold and all that, but for me, she did it first.
Interesting. And also take a look at all that recognitions, of course, for Choma Juma. Now, member of for the Order of Niger, following her Olympic gold medal at Atlanta 1996, Juma was given a national award, member of the Order of Niger, by the then head of state of Nigeria, Sani Abacha. But she complained that she was overlooked compared to the Nigerian football team, claiming, according to what I said, I was given the MON award, right, but without EY, when I head off for what was given to my brothers in the Super Eagles for winning the Nation Cup. I was amazed because you can see the difference. I am not envious of anybody, but this is the time to express my feelings that I deserve more. This is coming from Choma Juma, as at that time. And she also got another recognition, which is the Community Chieftaincy title. Imo State awarded her a chieftaincy title. And she also got another Nigerian Golden Jubilee Independence Award. That was on the 1st of October 2010. Nigeria celebrated its 50th independence anniversary. As part of that celebration on August 30th, on September 30th, on the Thursday 2010, President Goodluck Jonathan conferred special Golden Jubilee Independence Award on 50 distinguished Nigerians and friends of Nigeria, including Ajua, for her contribution to the development of the country. Appointment and membership of Body's chairperson for the Women's Development Committee of Imo State Football Association. That one came as well in 2011. A member of committee on the revival of Nigeria Academical Sports Competition. That was in 2011. So an assistant commissioner of police came in 2018 up to date as well. And she also has a foundation, the Choma Juma Foundation. After years of being active in track and field events, the Nigerian star launched Choma Juma Foundation to give back to the society that made her who she is. Among the fundamental issues the foundation deals with include youth mentorship and kicking out banned drugs from sports. The foundation teaches women and sportsmen in Nigeria on the hazard of using banned and illegal substances well. Let's also take a look at her personal life. As the Olympic gold medalist is happily married and the mother of 3 children. Choma Ajua, her husband, is called Howell Chidera. The couple shares 2 boys and a girl named Joshua, Caleb, and Rose, respectively. Ajua is the best example of a person who has defied the odds to become successful in life. Having been born and raised in low-income family background, she did not let that define her. She worked hard to be where she is today, and she is truly a role model to many people in the African continent as well. Okay, what do you make of this stride? It's been an impressive one, of course, for Choma Ajua. Just like you mentioned, she's an inspiration to so many persons in Nigeria, not just in Nigeria alone, in Africa as a whole. What do you think, Nigerians, like I've asked this already, But what do you think Nigerians' parents, should learn? Even the Nigerian ladies, what do you think they should learn from what Chioma Ajunwa has been able to do, the pace she has been able to set? Started from playing football, went down to athletics. She competed in the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and as well as the long jump as well. Came back from there, she became a police officer. Up to date, she's been putting up impressive record for herself. What do you think, Nigerian ladies should learn from the story of Chioma Ajunwa?
Well, what I have to tell them is, if you have that zeal, if you have, if you are interested or you have the love to go into sports, you should take it serious and try to make it work for yourself. I think you even have the opportunity is there because of the competition there is not really that fierce like maybe the male counterparts. So if you are good, I think there's opportunity for you to succeed as a female athlete. So for me, if you have that love, if you see you can do something, any sport, football, basketball, athletics, anyone, just go for it, and with the right support, I think you can make exploit. That's just what I have to tell them.
All right, so let's just bring you the next photo for the lady Chioma Ajunwa. The famous association football player Chioma Ajunwa net worth, of course, is within the range of $1 to $5 million, and she earned the money being a professional association football player. Been an impressive ride about the lady Chioma Ajunwa, a former Nigerian track and field athlete and a footballer, and of course, the first woman to win an Olympic gold medal. It's been an impressive record so far since then, for the lady, for Nigeria, and for Africa, as a whole. And of course, this history will never leave the minds of so many. I tell you, generations to come will still remember this lady for what she was able to do for Nigeria and as well as Africa, as a whole. But at this point, we have no choice than to call it a wrap because our time is up on the show. Awoke, it's been an impressive, time talking about Chioma Ajunwa.
Yes, a fantastic time. I think she's somebody that is worth talking about. And me, I grew up in school then. That was when I knew because there was so much example. Go to current affairs, you see her, the first Nigerian to win an Olympic gold medalist. She was everywhere. Even, this exercise book, we saw something, so many similar things. And for me, that was really a good one. At least Nigeria is being recognized around the world. So she's been talked about, and I've seen documentaries how she did it because I was born then, but I was too little to watch then. So, but I've seen documentaries. I've seen how they described it and all that, how joyous she was and all that. So this is the things we really want people from Nigeria to achieve. We see Toby Amosun winning gold and she's crying, doing the national anthem. This is the kind of things we want. So it's good she achieved all these things. And even though she's complaining that the government did not recognize her, but even though we are not giving her money, but that recognition will still be, and even if I see her, I've not seen her before, we'll still give her, we'll still thank her for making Nigeria proud.
All right, so at this point, we call it a wrap. Don't forget peace and unity, always the pathways there to progress. Next week, Saturday, will be another time where we'll bring you another sports personality on the show. Keep it locked on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.